He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minutes!
Hello everyone, welcome once again to Bat Minutes and Robin. This is the podcast where, despite all our rage, we are still some bats in a cage. It's me, Niall McGowan.
I'm your other host, John Parker, here to hold Secret's flame aloft for all to see.
That's why anyone ever called Billy Corgan pretentious. Like, where would they get that idea from?
Well, I mean, let's be honest, we didn't even bring this up. The title of the song alone.
Oh, we can get into it. There's so much to. There's a whole other chunk I got to talk about with regards to this song, actually. But to do that, we've also got some guests returning from the other day. Is of course Ricky and Ash. They're back, everybody. Woo.
Hello.
Hey. Okay. Well, that just to jump straight in here, should mention, as you were saying there, John, the name of the song is "The End is the Beginning is the End," which is suitable for end credits. I'll give him that.
And it's also very Billy Corgan, very Zwan, if you remember his project after the Pumpkins.
But it's also should be mentioned that this is one of 4 available versions of the song.
Yeah.
All of which featured on the soundtrack. I would say this is the worst version of the song.
Oh, okay.
No.
I actually prefer the other three iterations. So there's this.
I've only heard 2 versions, and I've been listening to the soundtrack all day. What? There's the slow one.
Well, actually, no. I should say
And there's this one.
they featured on the were B-sides to the single release. That should actually that's more.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
one of them's like instrumental, just with some electronic things.
I don't know. I think
Please
two
tell
of
me
them
there's
are
like a
instrumental.
Two of
A
them.
deep trance remix or something.
Oh, it was even well,
Scouse House.
there actually were a number of remixes as well. But so you had this one. Then, of course, there was famously is the beginning is the end is the beginning.
Whoa, I see what you did there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the slowed down version with different lyrics except for the chorus. A lot of people would actually mostly remember that version because they used it in the trailer for Watchmen.
See,
When
now,
that
as a proper Pumpkins fan, no.
But I really remember that, like, because remember in the promotional material for, like, you know, the sacred tomb that was Watchmen. This is before everyone knew what it was going to be like. Just then the opening note to be like, that's the song from the Batman and Robin soundtrack. That's a weird thing to evoke. And the fact that it was a different version of it, and it was actually, I think it's a better version, is, you know, slowed down, it's more epic in a way. And I guess Zack Snyder, of course, Watchmen directed by Zack Snyder, went on to do his own iteration of Batman. But he does evoke Batman and Robin in Watchmen, the movie, by having Ozymandias having, like, the nipples on his suit and stuff. And he's kind of like...
And he has a dreadful password as well to get into his computer.
That's right.
And doesn't Alfred have a dreadful password to get into his computer?
Yeah.
Ultimate, like, yeah, in the olden days when it was just a word of whatever was next to you.
The Ramesses. No, that didn't work. What about Ramesses 2? Done.
That's something a genius would have as their password, definitely.
Yeah. Although I think we actually might have talked about that during the minute. And I was like, because there's a guy who made Watchmen Minute, Travis Bowe. Well, he's one of the hosts of Travis Bowe. It was obviously Eric Nash who also did it with him. But I went to Travis and was like, was that a deliberate thing by Alan Moore to, like, set it up to be like, no, he wanted them to hack his computer? Or is it just like lazy writing? And he's like, I think it's just lazy writing. Like, he just didn't know any other way to get around it.
I do like that.
But yeah, that's always the thing. You know, Watchmen as a movie is like, it's, you know, I enjoy it for what it is, but there's other things, parts of it where it's like it fundamentally misunderstands the material it's adapting. And one of them was Ozymandias, where it's like, oh, this guy shouldn't be playing this character at all. Like, he's very blatantly young when he's supposed to be older. And the whole thing about Ozymandias is that he's like the world's most perfect man. It should be someone like Arnie, almost. Like, he's supposed to be this peak of physical perfection, but you put him in you made the decision to put him in like the Batman Robin sculpted rubber thing, which is a statement in and of itself, I think. But
I think he looks good, but I get what you mean. It's like a weird message. Like, it's almost like you're saying he doesn't look good enough, so we've put him in this.
yeah, it could be like they're trying to add an extra layer of his deception, where it's just like, yeah, he's so nefarious that he's not actually all that buff either. He's just pretending to be. But like I've been on record many times saying it should have been Tom Cruise playing that character. Like I would have been. So then you had that version used for the trailer for Watchmen. Apparently, it was so successful, so controversial when it came out. People were like, what is this song? That Billy Corgan actually went to Warner Brothers and were like, apparently people are downloading the song. We got to go make a video. And they were like, nah, man. no, we don't care that much. But then, that trailer for Watchmen is excellent. And it uses the song to... And apparently Zack Snyder has said it was a deliberate, ironic commentary by taking, like... Here's a movie that's deconstructing superheroes, and I'm using a piece of the soundtrack from the worst superhero movie ever made.
But I love the way he uses a slightly different version, which is...
Yeah.
Although the ones you're gonna list, I think have even more pretentious names.
Oh, yeah, because there is Ether's Tragic, which is one of the lyrics in the song, to be fair. But from Ether's Tragic, I Am Born Again. That's the electronic. It's just the keyboard parts. And a little bit of xylophone. And I have to say, I really loved it, even though it is very blatantly isolated keyboard. Because it just says, blang, blang. And then there's some, like, this is like, it'll go for like 10 seconds of someone just holding down one note going, boom.
Atmospheric.
And then you get a bit of xylophone going, click, 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 click. Click, 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 click. But the thing is, I love that. Like, I'm all around sitting around and listening to ominous synth. So I was like, this is freaking great. I'm absolutely...
Does anyone know if it's a real Mellotron that they're using for that choir sound? Is that a thing that's...
They probably would have done the Pumpkins back in the day.
They seem like the kind of people who would get, like, let's get a real Mellotron.
Yeah, Billy would want to do it right.
Yeah.
There's no messing around with Billy Corgan.
And then, of course, there was the final version is The Guns of Love Disastrous.
That's a great name.
That is from another very Batman-y verse where, like, the Zeppelins rain upon us, the guns of love disastrous, a shadow lies amongst you to defy the future cast. It's like, that is some Batman-y kind of shit. I'll give you that, man. But that's an acoustic guitar. Just acoustic guitar. Also really good. It actually really highlights how good the song is. So, like, yeah, man, I genuinely think the single version is the lesser version of all four of them.
You're wrong, but you're allowed to be wrong. That's fine. That's fine. I'll let you off.
But of course, I'll also mention, we did briefly talk about, there was a music video that came out. I remember watching it and as a kid being very disappointed in it. And people who listened to last season would know I was riding high on that U2 video for like 2 years.
But this is kind of the same. They're both lazy videos.
Which the YouTube video for Hold Me,
Thrill Me, Kiss Me? It was a full animated music video, John.
Yeah, it was good.
Wait, no, I'm thinking of the other one they did where it's just clips. They did two.
Oh, the seal video where it's just like, yeah. Oh, that was a lazy video, yeah.
Yeah, it's been over a year, listeners.
Yeah, but no, I loved Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me so much. And then Pumpkins wasn't a fan then because it was like 10. And yeah, the video is like, it's a CGI bat cowl that they zoom into the eye, and it's the Pumpkins, and it's all, Billy Corgan looking like Pinhead, and they're playing these weird-looking guitars that look like a computer threw up, and it's just this misshapen lump that they're kind of strumming, and then there's just random, like, hyper-edited clips that just, it looks very, like, MTV 90s, it's just all the...
I'm just showing it to Ash now. It looks very... MTV 90s. It looks like the Nightmare Universe version of Groovers in the Heart.
The dark version.
That might have been what they were going for, to be fair.
Groovers in the Heart.
Groovers in the Vengeance.
Oh, I forgot how. I didn't know I had an opinion about Billy Corgan, but I'm looking at him now and he's doing my head in.
I just remembered how much I hate this guy.
I'll defend him to the death, especially because I'm a big nerd and a wrestling fan, and Billy Corgan is a big deal in wrestling. He is the owner of the National Wrestling Alliance, which is pretty much the most prestigious wrestling organization in the world. He bought it, former champion of NWA was Ric Flair. He decided to buy it
got,
because he's like, it's going under. WWE sort of put him in the ground. So he's like, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to revive it.
Wasn't he like using it as a leg up to advertise furniture at one point?
no.
Like I've got this memory of seeing. I've got this memory of him with like antique furniture in a wrestling ring, going, "Our prices are crazy low."
Like 5 times during each match, that have to take out one of the chairs and smash it over. Someone says, like, "You can buy this chair at Billy Corgan's."
There's some sort of intersection between Billy Corgan wrestling and
I think that might have been
fine
when he
furniture.
initially joined Impact Wrestling. I think it might have been then. But then the problem was, right, Impact Wrestling got bought. No, sorry, it merged with Global Force Wrestling, which Jeff Jarrett, who used to run Impact Wrestling, had founded. But then it turned out he was just trying to create like a giant Ponzi scheme, selling gold to people on his website. so Billy
must have
Corgan
been
left.
wrapped up in that time.
My favorite wrestling furniture fact, but by no means my only wrestling furniture fact, is that you may be most familiar with a certain type of table.
Yes.
That you have seen the likes of Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, Mankind getting thrown through after being launched out of the ring. But that phenomenon, that particular wrestling act, didn't start with the glamorous sports entertainers from the WWE, WWF, but even further back in time, it actually comes from this country and the great 1960s, 1970s British equivalents, the likes of Giant Haystacks.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard all these? And this Big Daddy, he was the other one as well. Nowhere near as much funding, obviously, in that era, in that part of the world. It was a very Northern English, Northern towns phenomenon to see that. And so a lot of the time, to get that particular bit of furniture, they would bring it from their own houses. They would take it from their houses to the ring for the bout. And obviously, Northern mums, not a lot of money, but a lot of brass, could often be seen standing in the street shouting after their burly sons.
What are you doing with my table?
Where are you taking that? Where are you taking that? To which the sons would turn around and say, to wrestle. And that's why they're called trestle tables.
Oh my God!
Really? Is that the actual origin of the? Holy moly!
No, total.
Oh,
No, you need to clock on to the Ricky storytelling. That was.
I was also
gold,
distracted the whole because I was just kept thinking about the "I think you should leave" sketch of like, what have they done to my table?
Yeah.
They're dirty.
But of course, these days, if you need a table, you just ask Billy Corgan. Apparently, according to our show.
I hope I'm not just making that up. I'm sure I remember saying
No,
this.
it
I
could
could
be
not
true.
believe how good a segue it was to my story. So I'm just delighted. Absolutely. Is he really? Is he going into tables?
But so this video though for the end is the beginning is the end was co-directed. Joel Schumacher directed half of it, I guess, and the other part was directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris, who directed many famous music videos, including "Been Caught Stealing" by Jane's Addiction,
Yeah.
"Gun" by Soundgarden, the Spider-Man video by the Ramones. She's Got Issues by The Offspring, which of course early days Zooey Deschanel, went back when it was cool to like Zooey Deschanel. And along with Todd McFarlane, who of course invented, Venom and Spawn, they co-directed the video for Freak on a Leash by Korn.
Okay, now you're speaking my language.
But as well as the By the Way video by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which of course it features the that guy from Ghost World, just randomly reappears, and I always thought that was quite strange that that guy with the nunchucks in Ghost World is just the star of the video for the By the Way video. And of course they also directed Tonight, a very famous Smashing Pumpkins video, like probably one of the most iconic pieces of visuals to go along with that band.
Oh, that's one of my absolute favorites of theirs. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love Tonight, I love Today, Zero, Butterfly Wings, Disarm, all of these classics.
And they also directed the video for 1979.
Oh, yeah. Another one. I could have listed that one. Holy crap, there's too many good songs.
But then they jumped to making feature films, and they made some very famous feature length films, including Little Miss Sunshine, Ruby Sparks, and the Billie Jean King movie Battle of the Sexes. Now, it's also notable that Little Miss Sunshine and Ruby Sparks features prominent performances from one Paul Dano, who got his big break in Little Miss Sunshine. Paul Dano, of course, is currently playing the Riddler in the new version of Batman.
And he's one of the best things in Little Miss Sunshine, I think.
I just remember my friend Jem having a massive crush on him in that movie.
I could see
and
that.
It was back when we saw it when we were like 18 or 19, so it wasn't like she was like in her 30s or anything, like a teenager. But
age appropriate. Yeah,
it was, that crush was age appropriate. But I remember always been like, this guy really? But and then watching
he's like a handsome geek.
I thought it was weird when I was watching him in the Batman when he has the mask off, and been like, I wonder if Jem is still looking at him, and been like,
off now with your spoilers.
that's not a spoiler, come on. But like, seeing the Paul, I was wonder though, like, he's playing a real creepy psycho. I wonder if Jem's still sitting there like, oh yeah, Paul Dano.
Some people like the creepy psychos.
It's like, I'm loving this guy. It's like, that guy. Okay. But,
someone does something for someone, if that makes sense. You're somebody's type.
Also should mention too, people are looking for any Smashing Pumpkins recommendations are a little bit off the beaten track. There was a remix album a couple of years ago it was part of a David Lynch project called Mashed in Plastic.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was a guy just did it online. It might have been a group of people, but they remixed loads of songs associated with David Lynch movies. Although the Smashing Pumpkins did a song for Lost Highway as well, but they took the song, they took 1979 and remixed it with Linda Scott's "I've Told Every Little Star" into a song called "I've Told Every Little Pumpkin," and it works beautifully. It's like one of the best remixes I've ever heard in my life. It's two songs.
Have you heard my remix, which is "Bullet with Butterfly Wings" and "Killer" by Adamski?
No,
because they are the same song.
No,
wait, for real?
You don't even need to adjust the BPMs or anything. You just put them on at the same time.
Oh,
and you get the world is a vampire, bum 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 bum.
And everything's connected because, of course, Seal is on that.
And I put that with the guy from Coronation Street whose head exploded in Hudson Hawk.
yeah.
Fred
West.
No, he was called Fred something. But I just made his head explode over and over and over and over again.
One of the first ventures into making music that I ever did was 18 years old, round at your old flat in Old Swan.
Emptiness is eshinule.
Yeah.
Loneliness is mushunine. It's great.
Playing around with SoundForge and Acid 4, which I'm still fairly competent in.
Hey.
If there is any chance that comes back in vogue as a form of music production software,
you can bring it back.
I'm gonna have to ask Ash. You're gonna have to link to some of these.
God is good.
Ash will upload these somewhere and we will post them.
They might be.
Them.
Okay, yeah, I'll find them and
I've definitely still got them.
We can
I
put
put
them
them
in
on
the
my
group.
CV and everything.
Yeah, I'll
post them in the group. There you go.
Remind me because I'm drunk at this point. But yeah,
my suggestion: if anyone's looking to get into
it was no. I just remembered it was the Taxi theme. It was Zero by the Smashing Pumpkins, blended with the theme from Taxi.
by
I
Bob
love the
James.
theme. I love the theme of the Taxi. So I'm actually.
Well, if you like those things, you'll love this.
Because it's literally those two things.
With a little bit of Captain Beefheart going on about gophers in the background.
There's going to be a gritty
for,
reboot of Taxi coming to HBO, and they're going to get Billy Corgan to do the theme.
Hey, they did Fresh Prince. They've done Fresh Prince.
Exactly. Everything's coming back as a gritty reboot.
My suggestion would be, if you're looking to get into Smashing Pumpkins, my suggestion would be B14 again. So perhaps look into doing that.
It does
you're
help.
definitely sure to enjoy Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah. Should also mention too, in terms of just having my last little connective bit of Smashing Pumpkins to Batman, is they had an album called Oceana.
Yes, I know that one well.
And we mentioned this season, there's an episode of the animated series of Batman wherein this nefarious Disney stand-in, Grant Walker, is building like Epcot, essentially, a city of the future, and he's going to freeze the rest of Gotham so all the survivors can stay in his new city, Oceana. So there you go. that's a connection.
Well, the lyrics themselves, I mean, we're not going to read them all. That'd be boring for everyone. But he says he wrote it for Batman. Like, it captures the kind of gothy, boring, not boring, like, you know, dour, miserable.
Gothy boring.
You know what I mean? You know,
Wasn't
like,
that in the original Bob Kane?
that was his note that he put. You know, it captures that kind of vibe of Batman, but the lyrics don't sound like they're written for the movie. He says they are, but like, you know, I've got.
He's
them
just saying
written.
Billy Corgan stuff, isn't he?
Yeah, it's just a Billy Corgan song like it normally would be. Like, is it bright where you are? Now the people changed. Does it make you happy? You're so strange. In your darkest hour, I hold secrets flame. What?
He's secretly Bruce Wayne.
Oh.
Well,
And
that's the thing.
yeah.
Except that's in both versions of that, and then there's the beginning is the end is the beginning. The only lyrics that are maintained is this is bright where you are, all that business. It's like those are the lyrics to me that are, but like, is this about Batman? But I guess it is. But if he says it is,
Well, it's art at the end of the day. Like, if he
It's
says
in,
it
it's in
is,
line
it
with
is.
this emo Batman idea that they're doing for the new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it would tie with that, totally. These are the most emo lyrics I've ever read.
Yeah. I mean, some of the other verses are very Batman-y, just general, like, you know, for I am Crystal Chrome, I am Shatterdome, I am Kremlin King of Angels Avenged. It's like, that sounds like some Batman would tell himself that he
Very
is.
emo
He
Batman,
would
though.
tell
Come on.
He-
That's like
He's
a
a very
14-year-old
chrome
again.
Batman in this.
Yeah.
He's very shiny Batman. So he's very good in that.
It's like, yeah, Billy Corgan saw the freeze suit at the end. The Batman will be in. He's like, all right.
Yeah,
okay.
he specifically asked. He's like, "Look, I'm writing lyrics. I need to see all of the different looks."
With this film, is the end the beginning, or is the he would ask them and they'd say no, the beginning is the beginning, and then the end is the end. That's the ending where
in
things...
the traditional way.
He's trying to
Reach a
scribble this
resolution.
down
It's
fast.
like, no, so the beginning is the no. Hang on, the end is the beginning is the end.
Right,
Got
I've
it. Right,
I've
okay.
got it. No, hang on. Right. So the end is no, right. It ends at the beginning, doesn't it? Right. Right. So, do you want me to do this or not? Because I'll walk out the door now.
He's made like charts and everything.
Pepe Silvia.
I've cracked it.
You can imagine, though, I'm very proudly
Guys, the end
presenting...
is the beginning.
very proudly presenting to everyone, like, I've written multiple songs, and one is called "The End is the Beginning is the End," and the other one is called "The Beginning is the End is the Beginning," and everyone just rolling their eyes, and like, "All right, Billy, okay, just tell
But
me
if
where
you
to play,
ever
man."
see the Billy Corgan director's cut of this, Batman and Robin,
Release the Corgan cut.
Nowadays, that seems like something. If you pitch that to him, he's like, "Yeah, I'll make my own cut of Batman and Robin."
Why
Sure,
not?
why
you can get that trending somehow.
Why not?
Yeah. It is very, you know, if he's into wrestling, this movie it has wrestlers in it, for Christ's
Well,
sake. I mean, it's
He's more than into wrestling. It's like his other favorite thing in the world. I think that's why he decided to be William Corgan. He's like, well, Billy Corgan is my music name. Now I am a businessman. I am William Patrick Corgan. That's what he calls himself, his full name.
oh, Patrick Pumpkins.
And he does turn up on the wrestling. He doesn't get too involved, but he does appear sometimes. Because NWA, it used to be the biggest wrestling company there was, and now, you know, it got down to the point where it was like nothing. It was pointless. So that's why he bought it. He's like, I want to resurrect this. I want to make it a thing again, and he's doing pretty well. It's got a show now. It was on YouTube, and now it's on Fight TV, which is the app I already use for wrestling. So there you go. But you do have to subscribe now. It's not free anymore. Billy, I'm not watching it now. I'm cheap. I can only afford to pay for one wrestling show.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, we can get into some credits here if that's what we got.
I had a
So-
question about one of them. Right, Peter Tothpal is Dr. Freeze's hairstylist, and my question is, like, did he really need a hairstylist for that one tiny bit of the film where you see him as normal Dr. Freeze?
I was very happy too that they were so formal that they referred to him as Dr. Freeze's hairstylist. You think just Arnie or Mr. Schwarzenegger's, but like, no, Dr. Freeze.
Well, especially, right, you're going to love this because it ties into what we talked about last time and how we speculated he has a team. He's worked with Arnie a lot. He's been his hairstylist on Total Recall, Running Man, Twins, Red Heat, Kindergarten Cop, Terminator 2, Last Action Hero, True Lies, Junior, The Sixth Day, Terminator 3, and Eraser. But most importantly,
I put it to you that he did his hair once and they just left it like that for all
yeah. He just never got it cut again. It's like that's the perfect Arnold do. But most importantly, not Arnold related, he worked on one episode of Saved by the Bell, The New Class.
Oh, nice.
And the TV movie Stalin.
Oh. Who played Stalin in it?
I wish I looked that up. Give me 1 second.
It just turns out it was Arnie as Stalin.
I could see Arnold playing Stalin. Right. It's someone famous. Let me find. It's Robert Duvall.
Whoa, Robert Duvall played Stalin.
Yeah.
Holy man, I gotta watch this.
It's a TV movie. Yeah.
I'll just check this thing out. Jeez, Louise.
To prepare for the role, Robert Duvall watched numerous hours of newsreels, read many books about Stalin, and spoke to Russians who remembered him. And he said it was the most challenging role of his career for a TV movie. So, you put a lot of work in for something that a lot of people probably didn't see.
Looking it up, it's also got the guy who played Dalsum in Street Fighter. So
there you go.
Everything's connected.
Everything is connected.
This is actually the minute, is it not, that actually has Mr. Schwarzenegger's drama coach in?
Yeah.
See, I'm very happy for Arnold Schwarzenegger that he got to be in this film. He's not the best scenery chewing actor, and I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger is at his best when he is chewing the scenery. But I'm glad he got to do it this once, because he's clearly having a great time with it.
That's the thing with this movie. People diss it, whatever, but everyone, maybe except for George Clooney, seems to be having a great time. Yeah,
I don't even think George Clooney's having a bad time. I think he's just got two faces appropriately enough. He's got his eye contact smirking at you, and he's got his looking away from you smirking face.
There is two moves.
And he does both of them. And so you wouldn't know if he's having a good time or not. I'm a fan of both faces, just for the record.
You two-faced yourself.
I noticed that one of the departments is also just called Bat Shop.
Yeah.
The whole team of people just at the Bat Shop.
But that's because this film had some quite cool. I mean, I know it's toyetic, isn't it? But it had some quite cool, quick cutaways of banks of bat gadgets and banks of robbing gadgets. And presumably that's what the Bat Shop was. Just churning out all these little things that they could have, filling up the Bat Cave with, for little cutaway shots.
I like to think it was just the Tuck Shop. And they're like, no, he's got to make it sound fancier. It's the Bat Shop.
A Bat Mars bar, please.
No,
yeah.
I put it to you because later on there's also the miniature shop as well, and I hope that's the Tuck Shop. They all had to crouch down and go, "Can I have some sweeties, please?"
I'll have some of those sherbet UFOs.
Space Raiders.
Yeah.
But then who out of the cast will be the person who bought a load of it on the cheap and was selling it on the sly? Because there was always that one person in school who ran their own black market tuck shop.
There was, and I never understood where they got it.
It was Jeeps. It was Jeep.
What's it called? Jeepers.
Jeep Swenson?
Jeep Swenson. Okay.
But I should mention one of the credits I've noted here. Quite a big name, this guy. Well, I'll say big name. But when you look him up, he's like, he seems like he's had a moderately interesting career.
Chris O'Donnell.
There's a fella called Pat E. Johnson. Pat, the letter E, not Pat E. Johnson.
Why would you put the E there? Because that just confuses matters.
Maybe that's what he wanted. He's psych people out.
Maybe he's non-binary. Well, they, depending. And it's I'm Pat, but I'm also Patty.
No, could be. But he was one of the stunt coordinators. He also worked as a stunt coordinator on Green Street and Punisher Warzone, which of course were directed by Lexi Alexander, one of our new Twitter friends, Lexi Alexander, who gave us that whole story about Joel Schumacher firing her when he found out there was a woman playing one of the roles for a man.
Yeah.
For a man on set. So,
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That was dark.
but Patty Johnson did a lot of stunt work for all the Turtles movies. Well, TMNT 1 through 3. The original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie with the Kirsty Swanson. Mortal Kombat.
Technically a bad movie, but I don't care. I was the right age.
Something called Battle Creek Brawl, which also features Jose Ferrer, who was, of course, George Clooney's uncle, father of Miguel Ferrer, and Mako, who, of course, was in, the Conan movies with one Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
The movie also features Amanda Wyss, who I just like bringing up because she was the first ever face to appear on screen in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Oh.
She was Tina from Elm Street 1. I think I've mentioned her on another show quite recently. It's like, oh, Amanda Wyss.
We go on too many shows. I don't know. You could have mentioned it on this show, and I'd have forgotten.
Yeah. But he did a lot of the fight choreography for the Karate Kid movies, and he's actually the referee at the All Valley Karate Championship in the first 3 Karate Kid movies. And the reason he's so into karate is because he was the president of the National Tang Soo de Congress in the 1970s, which was founded by Chuck Norris.
Oh.
Oh my.
Yeah, so I think him and Chuck Norris served together, and then Chuck obviously got really into into karate. And basically, in terms of white men who were really good at karate in America, these guys were the cream of the crop.
Well, that's the thing. People always make fun of Chuck Norris. Actually, no, now he's become a meme. He's cool, isn't he now? But when we were kids, people always made fun of him. Like, look at this guy thinking he can do martial arts. Just this bearded white man. But you know what? No, he was actually really good. I mean, he trained with Bruce Lee. They were friends.
Yeah, I don't think that's the thing. You could have briefly looked into, the leadership of this organization. And always mentioned, like, oh yeah, Chuck Norris undefeated in everything. It's like, oh, he's apparently he's very good at what he does.
Yeah, he just looks
Isn't there
lame.
a thing though with boxing where it's quite easy for someone to have their career massaged into being undefeated if they want them to be the person who has the big Las Vegas bout that's on
true.
pay-per-view.
Yeah,
Boxing is as...
I don't know why I've decided I've got a strong opinion about this. I'm sure you're right.
No, boxing is as set up as wrestling, let's be honest.
Another listing that I'm a big fan of, for reasons explained in the previous episode, the company Knights of Neon.
What a name.
This.
What a name.
Now, if you go to Knights of Neon website, still exists. It just links through to all of their social media. If you go to their Instagram, a lot of pictures of neon.
Oh, really?
Worth looking, though. It is worth looking.
I love the way they're
All the
still
things that
ticking
they
then. They're still going with
They
it.
did a Cardi B video.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cardi B to be on the soundtrack of the next Batman. There you go.
You know what? If they were to follow the trend from Batman Forever soundtrack to Batman and Robin soundtrack to nowadays soundtrack, if they were following that through line, I think Cardi B would be perfect for it.
Yeah, yeah. Although let's get a little crossover. I'd much prefer Megan Thee Stallion. Let's get her on there.
But the Phoebe Bridgers is really depressing, isn't he? So I imagine Bruce Wayne that'd be kind of more his ilk. Or like Bat for Lashes. Bat for Lashes, of course, they have to be on there.
There you go. Get them back in the public eye. It's been a while. Yeah.
Have you heard her recent Lost Girls? Well, it is like not that recent, but it's like just pre-COVID. She did a record called Lost Girls, which is like a concept that one of those film that was never made concept albums kind of thing. She's still really good, it turns out, and
Awesome.
it's great. It's got like parallels with the Lost Boys soundtrack and as that kind of.
And is it really for a movie that didn't come out, or it's like that's the story kind of thing?
It's like she's imagined the movie and made it.
Of course, Lost Boys, directed by Joel Schumacher.
Everything's connected.
Imagine it runs parallel to Lost Boys, so it's like, sigh, little brother.
Exactly, you've nailed it. So that's what it
There
is.
you go.
No, well, but yeah, yes,
Yeah.
in a way.
Well, another
Check it out.
credit
It's good
I
one.
liked was, I was just looking at some of the names. It wasn't particularly the name. I got intrigued by the script supervisor, Sharon Reynolds Enriquez, because when I checked out what she'd worked on, the type and style of projects that she's been involved with is so varied, right? So from this to Repo Man, from Inspector Gadget to 8mm, from Ghoulies to The Queen's Gambit. Like
Real?
she doesn't care what the genre is. She's going to work on your project.
Yeah, I think I remember we've come a couple of times with, particularly in Batman Forever. There's a lot of people from Repo Man came over. I guess that's like, I don't know, but I can imagine back in the 80s that would have been a film that Joel Schumacher would have enjoyed. It seemed very much in his sort of
It's got a
weird
satirical
wheelhouse.
element to it and stuff.
Yeah, and there's even like not quite his aesthetic, but like it's kind of got some of his early spirit in it. That it's just like, it's kind of a weird little. There's a friggin' neon car in it at one point.
That's
so
all it takes.
It's just get whoever those guys were. Like, they don't have to make a neon car for this movie, but it couldn't hurt.
We'll check it out, and it'll turn out it was made by the Knights of Neon.
If it wasn't, they missed a trick.
Definitely. If we
They
ever
should
need
have at
neon,
least, put out a contract for it.
if we need neon for the podcast, if we ever do a live show or something, we're going to contact the Knights of Neon.
Yeah. Do you have to check though? Have to check in every movie, John. Have you still not seen Repo Man, the film that is tailor-made for your interests?
No, I feel like I deliberately now cannot watch it because everybody tells me to watch it.
It's this thing is like that and 24-hour party people. It's just like, how have you not seen this? This is literally a film made for you.
And I know Repo Man's up my alley because I've seen the soundtrack, and every song is like, "Oh, I love that."
Yeah,
Great soundtrack.
That's a great movie.
I know I like it. I know I will for an absolute fact. Let's save it for the show. Listeners, if you want me to talk, let's do a commentary track on Repo Man. There you go.
But you haven't seen it. You're still just
Yeah.
watching like, what's happening now? that's Harry Dean Stanton.
Principal Copsicles. Principal Copsicles.
Possibly the greatest credit in the history of cinema.
Because we know exactly what they're referring to, but they're not
Yes.
referred to as Copsicles in the film, are they?
Yeah, although it was in the script, and then they took it out. So
Oh, we don't want it to seem silly, this film. Take that out.
No. You know, this is highbrow entertainment.
well, they had two jokes, and they had Copsicle was supposed to be at the beginning when he first freezes that first like the please have mercy, merci. He was the Copsicle, and then there was another. I think there was other cops that got beat up, and Freeze went Copsui, and. It was a thing of like, well, we can't decide which one to keep, so we'll just not have either of them. It's like,
They should have picked one, but it shouldn't have been Copsui.
No, I don't think they clearly sat down and went, "These are both terrible."
It claims that the Copsicles were by Rick Baker. Is that?
yeah, Rick Baker did. Yeah, he did the sculpts and stuff. Yeah,
it is
It's not
that
on his
Rick
IMDb.
Baker.
I'll just. But like that seems like a crazy thing to get just like one special effect in the entire film. Why not?
They probably asked him, and he's like, "I'll do you this one thing, and then I'm gone."
maybe just wouldn't want him because he did all the Two-Face stuff for forever. So I'm like, we don't want.
Yeah,
to
that's
leave
on his
him out
IMDb,
now,
but this
so, but I asked him to do something. Speaking of like sculptures and stuff, there was a slightly confusing credit to me where there was head sculptor Yarek Alfer, and I was like, is he the lead of the sculptor department?
Oh, or
Was
did he
sculpting
sculpt heads?
He just sculpts heads, but
Yeah.
I think he's the actual. Yeah, he was the guy who was the head of the department, and he's worked on loads of stuff, including Jurassic Park 3, which was the last movie in 2001, so presumably he's dead. Also did Legend, Casper. Inspector Gadget, The Cell, which does have some great sculpture work. in
Oh,
it,
the
to be
cell
fair.
looks amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and he also, interestingly enough, worked on the long-forgotten TV movie version of Doctor Strange.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Stalin. Okay.
No, but from 1978, people like back in the era of like the TV Incredible Hulk, Marvel also tried to get a Doctor Strange TV show off the ground, and it starred Peter Hooton. And Jessica Walter as Morgan Le Fay. So Lucille Bluth could have been in, well, she was in a Doctor Strange movie. I've never seen it myself, but I've heard reviews of it on podcasts. And they say apparently it's very, very boring.
Let's review it now.
Because one of those things like, well, Doctor Strange has got to be all like sorcery and impressive, visuals. And like, well, it's made in the 70s. So, TV budget. It had neither of those things.
That's the difference. Made in the 70s, you could go, Star Wars was made in the 70s. Yes, but back then, television didn't get money.
Yeah. the thing is, the Incredible Hulk works because it's like, well, you literally get Lou Ferrigno and you paint him green. That's all you need.
Well,
but like with Doctor Strange, you need things to be like flying around and all this kind of stuff. So.
And I know the modern ones technically look more like the comics with the Hulk, right? I know they do. But I miss the charm of just painting a man green. Just get a wrestler and paint him green. There you go.
Just in life in general, you just miss painting people green. It's like,
I mean, who isn't attracted to a green human?
Yeah, that's just like COVID ruined everything. You can't paint people anymore. You can't, unless you just spray them with paint from a distance. I guess.
I am gold. I was going to say gold member, Goldfinger.
So another one of the credits is assistant to Mr. McGregor Scott, who's one of the producers.
Yes.
Is McGregor Scott why Alfred has McGregor syndrome?
Yeah. He was, I don't know if Joel just really didn't like him or something, so I'll name this terminal disease after you. But yeah, Peter McGregor Scott, yeah, that was, they named it after him.
My favorite thing with that is the way loads of websites were listing it as an actual illness.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not. But there was a whole bunch of stuff listing it as real.
Okay, what came up first, like me and John were at loggerheads of like, John says it's real. I'm
No.
told it's fake. What's going on?
If I remember, I wasn't saying it was real. I'm saying this website says it's real. But I'm like, what?
Yeah, I think for this type of film, they very much had to come up with a fake illness for it. I don't think it would have been the same tone of film if it would have been like Alfred has hepatitis.
Yeah. He's got syphilis or something.
But it also, there were several points in this film. It wasn't that, it was fine, the film, but there were several points where I genuinely was laughing out loud. Some of it because it was very silly.
Yeah.
Some of it because it just landed perfectly with me. But the bit that was very silly, George Clooney dressed in a big silver Batman costume that's very shiny, looking down at Arnold Schwarzenegger and saying in a deadly serious tone, "I'm asking you, show me how to cure McGregor's syndrome stage 1." And that was like the climax of the film. George Clooney, Batman, saying to Arnold Schwarzenegger at the end of a Batman film, "Show me how to cure McGregor's syndrome stage 1."
See, it didn't pop out to us during the minute how silly it was. We're that deep in the weeds with the movie. We're just like, seems fine. Yeah, whatever.
We've been living this.
It's been the last year of my life. Why will this be any different now?
George Clooney must have just walked off shaking his head, whether the batsuit permitted him to shake his head or not. Just like, what the?
Well, I mean, George Clooney's head is perpetually nodding in some way or form. So.
That's why this version of the batsuit, they actually made the cowl tighter to stop him doing it.
Oh.
I didn't have to. I've got a bunch of other credits that aren't that interesting, but I did actually realize I had another note about the drama coach for Mr. Schwarzenegger that I forgot to bring up. Walter von, is it Hoyne or Hoyne?
I would assume Hoyne.
But... say Hoyne. Well, Walter, this is a crazy fact, auditioned for George Lucas for the part of Luke Skywalker.
Oh.
So Mr. Schwarzenegger's drama coach was a potential Luke.
I couldn't nail that part, but I can teach you how to do things.
Hey, some people aren't cut out for it. Really, they're there to impart their knowledge.
Like back in the day, though, in LA in the 70s, there probably were like 500 people came in to read for Luke and Han and stuff. So there's a whole generation of old, bitter white guys sitting around going, I could have been that guy.
The Arnold Schwarzenegger's drama approach to this film is just say everything as loudly as you can with your eyes as wide as you can. So it's
so he would have been a brilliant Luke Skywalker. Imagine that.
That's kind of what he does.
Tell
in the
me
first Star
about
Wars.
my father.
I'll just imagine though Arnie playing Luke. I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
I care.
Shut down all the garbage smashes at the detention level.
But it's an whole other year.
Right, new podcast.
Just redoing all Star Wars exactly the same, except Arnie is Luke Skywalker.
Please. I always thought Arnie is like Vader, but no, this is better. This is better.
He had that's the thing when we're talking about Arnie's hair guy. It's like once he landed on the flat top, he should never change it because Arnie's hair back in the day was awful.
Terrible.
Like when he had the 70s haircut, it's like that does not suit that guy.
But everyone
at all.
had that.
Yeah. It's just it was just a victim of the time. Like I'm sure if he knew the flat top existed at that point, he would have gone for it then. But still though, I can imagine him in the Luke tunic and stuff with that hair. It works.
Oh, it's got to happen. Come on, get your deep fakes made, people.
Oh,
The only
yeah.
other note that we're completing things is that an additional note I had on Pat E. Johnson, who the stunt coordinator.
You have to say it in an Irish accent, though. Patty.
Pat E. Johnson.
Especially because Americans think Paddy is Patty.
Did you just say to Niall, you have to say that in an Irish accent?
Yeah, I mean, ham it up. Come on.
He also was in 2 other projects, but I was just very intrigued by. One was called Force 5, not Fox Force 5, which of course would be the TV show that Mia Wallace starred in Pulp Fiction.
I was thinking I know that name. That's what it is.
The thing is, because it came out in the mid 80s, and Tarantino just sit around that video shop watching trash amongst all the classics. I wouldn't be surprised if Fox Force 5 comes from this. Like, apparently, it's just some absolute crap. That's
Well, as much
just
as I
about
like Tarantino, I mean, that's what he does. He just steals things, right?
Oh,
He
yeah.
repurposes them.
And I have a much uglier word for it, John. Misappropriation. But yeah, so the plot line is literally like martial arts guy is recruited by a senator to rescue his daughter from an island. Like it's just old generic bullshit.
Perfect.
But he also was in something called Cat Squad, CAT Squad, like it's a special unit. And then I love this, the sequel, Cat Squad 2, Python Wolf.
That sounds like in Cobra Kai, Eagle Fang.
It's the most like mid 80s action movie bullshit title, Python Wolf. The real stunner to me was both movies were directed by William Friedkin.
What?
Who made like The Exorcist and The French Connection.
What?
And like this is like 1988. It's like how far did he fall between like so I made like the most successful horror movie of all time and also this beloved crime movie classic that would influence Batman movies to this day. Like deliberate references to The French Connection in the new Batman movie. But will there ever be a Batman movie that references Python Wolf?
Yes.
Let's hope so. Well, but yeah, I think I'm all noted out for minute 122.
Same.
Cool.
We will head off once more into the dark, dark night. So do join us again on Friday for more exciting credits action here on Bat Minute.
Next time, real talk. There's an odd ode to a nest of notorious recognition as we're trapped in the credits with the remixer of Ignition. We analyze this specious serenade to a hive of scum and villainy. But could R. Kelly really be this confused about the character of Gotham City? We percolate on the pretentious, problematic performer on Friday. Bat fans, same Bat pod, different Bat minute.
We'll be back.